Midtown studios of Bloomberg Television in New York City, this is Charlie Rose.
The term living legend is used quite often in the music business, especially in Nashville. But few performers deserve that label as much as Loretta Lynn. Born and raised in Butchahala, Kentucky, the singer-songwriter has been a pioneering force in country music since she began in 1960. You made that little dress, did you?
Yes, I did, and I was pregnant with the twins, too. That's why that guitar hides me, you know.
All right, let me talk a little more about you. 60 albums. You have had some 50 top 10 singles and 16 #1 albums. The first female artist to have a country album certified gold. She was the first female to be named Entertainer of the Year by the Country Music Association. Her latest effort is titled All-Time Gospel Favorites. One of my all-time favorites, Miss Loretta Lynn, is here, and I'm pleased to have her here. Welcome back.
Thank you, honey. I was scared to death I wasn't going to get to see you while I was up here.
I'm happy that you are. Now, before we got a lot to talk about. First, how you doing? How's your health? And
I'm doing fair, you know. Yeah. I'm doing better.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if I got out and worked some, well, maybe that'll help me too. It's hard to go home.
Yeah, I bet
and
it is.
I've, you know, I have shows down there on my Dude Ranch, like 3 or 4 times a year. And I go down and do the shows, and then I go back to Nashville. Yeah. But I know I got to stay home sometimes, so I'm going to have to kind of face the music.
Yeah. Mooney died, what, a month ago?
A year ago this month.
How long?
A year ago this month.
Yeah. Tell me about this relationship that we all got to know through Coal Miner's Daughter.
Well, we got married. I got married at 13, you knew that.
Yeah.
And I kind of walked out of Daddy's arms into Dude's arms.
Yeah.
And he was the one that made all the decisions. And right up till he passed away, he did make all the decisions. Even though he'd had strokes, he was smarter than most people that had never had a stroke. Yeah. And made good decisions, too. And so not only did I lose a husband, but I lost a partner.
Yeah, manager.
A manager.
He had diabetes, didn't he?
Had diabetes, and you know, that eats you up.
He lost two limbs, two legs.
Both legs. And that's one of the things that really hurt me, seeing him cut on him like that, because he loved to be out on the farm. And I think he kind of gave up. When he seen me start to break out, you know, I never had a bump on my face before.
Yeah, you had some kind of rash that came because of...
Yeah, and I still got it, but they're working on me.
Right. And he saw it.
He was the first one to see it. He said, go get a nurse, go get a nurse. And I said, honey, what's wrong? And he said, go look in the mirror. And I had bumps all over my face, and I had never had a pimple on my face. So I couldn't believe it, you know. Yeah. But I wish that would have never happened.
That he'd never seen that? Or,
yes, because I'm afraid that he thought he might be just a little too much for me. But he wasn't, you know. This year has been a lot harder than the times before, you know. But I sat by his side.
How many songs did you write directed at him?
Everyone.
What was the title of the song? I remember this. Don't come home drinking and looking for loving.
With loving on your mind.
Loving on your mind.
I said you could turn it around. Don't come home loving with drinking on your mind. It's just as bad one way as just the other. But then I did You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man.
Yeah.
I did one called Fist City.
No Stand By My Man.
No Stand By My Man. Because
You ain't woman enough to take my man.
That's right. No, I never could understand why a girl would even sing a song like that, you know.
Yeah. You've always been there writing songs for strong women. Have you?
I have. And today they're calling me now to write for them, so I've been writing my head off.
Yeah.
And so a little girl by the name of Leon Malbank,
oh, you bet.
She is really good.
I want you to write some songs for her.
Yeah, I've got some wrote for her.
What kinds of?
Same stuff that I recorded. And let me tell you, this is what's wrong with the music business today.
What?
They are saying, do la la la.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to remember that stuff?
Right.
Not me or you.
No.
You're going to remember Don't Come Home and Drinking and Loving on you. Well, this is what I said. You know, if they want me to write, they're going to have to take it like a right.
Yeah.
because that's the way I write.
How many other songs did you write for Mooney?
Oh, my.
I mean,
There was always a line in every song I threw in for him. There was always a line.
Like, behave yourself, boy.
Behave yourself, yeah. There was always a line, and he'd never know which one, so he couldn't holler about it. Bless his heart.
Would he smile about it, or would he worry about it?
Well, he didn't say anything about a song till we were going down the road in the truck one day, was coming home from Nashville, and I'd wrote Wings Up on Your Horns. And it was just, when I wrote the song, it was just opposite, wings and horns, you know, being opposite. I didn't think about people thinking it was dirty.
Right.
So everywhere you'd punch on the radio, that song was playing. And he said, "That's the dirtiest song." Yeah, I'm not putting there. He said, "Song I've ever heard in my life." I said, "Well, honey, it's been out 3 months. Why didn't you tell me when I was recording it?" And I thought you had more sense than to sing it.
Yeah. You went back out on the road, and you've got this album, which this is going to be sold on CNN and all those places,
Yes,
right?
it'll be on all
You
all
got
the stations.
200,000 copies have been ordered before you cut the record.
That's right, 200,000 orders. And I think that's what they're having a time right now getting them pressed up, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is going to sell. Listen to these songs. How Great Thou Art, In the Sweet By and By, When the Roll is Called Up Yonder, What a Friend We Have in Jesus, Wings and Dove, Are You Washed in the Blood, Just a Closer Walk with Thee, Swing Low, Sweet Charity, Press is the Valley, The Church is the Wildwood, Old Time Religion, Unclouded Day. Man, it just goes on and on and on here. I'd rather have Jesus, I'll fly away. Man, you went back and got all the old favorites and said, I'm bringing my band, we're going to record these things and see what happens.
You know, this is really funny because I said to myself, now I've done 3 gospel albums.
Right.
And there must not be anything that I haven't recorded, I thought. So I got the albums and I looked at them, and I had wrote half of every one of the albums that I had recorded, and I thought, well, gee, I'm not going to have any problem now. So I recorded a lot of songs I have never cut before. Yeah. And it was really funny. When I went in to sing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, that's one of my favorite things on this album. Yeah. And my husband's favorite song was Peace in the Valley. So when I went in to cut the song, I wasn't paying any attention to how I was saying. I said, I had it picked out to do first that night, and I said to my producer, Jerry Kennedy, I said, Jerry, tonight we're going to do Swing Low, Sweet Cheerio. He said, what? I said, Swing Low, Sweet Cheerio. And he said, I think that's Chariot, isn't it? And I said, well, what is that? Yeah. So, but, you know, I'd never sung it before, and I wasn't paying that much attention, but it's a great song.
Is it good to be back on the road?
I think it's going to help me.
You know, to come out of the loss of...
Yeah, I think it's going to help me, because in 4 years I lost 12 people.
Yeah, you lost your son.
Yes, and then I lost
That was your oldest son?
That was my oldest son.
And the closest?
Mm-hmm. And then I lost my brother 3 weeks before I lost Dew. I lost one of my brothers. Went in the hospital for a cold. He was a year older than me. And they put him on one of them life supporters, you know. Died within a week. Never had a gray hair in his head or a bad tooth. It's the first time he'd ever been in the hospital, and died within a week.
Now, how's your health? You're okay, other than the stress of all this?
Yeah, I think it's stress, but I think maybe getting on the road might help me some, you know, to get away from everything and have other things to think about.
When you're staying in Nashville, you're not living at home where you got all that business going on?
No, it bothers me real bad. Everything I see do all around me. Yeah. Because we have a ranch, and he's always working, you know. He
stayed at home and took care of the ranch.
That's right.
Who do you like, and who do you admire, and who are your favorites in the business? Who are the people that you...
You know, there's so many that I admire. There's so many. And
who are you close to?
Kitty Wells is one of the greatest. She's the queen of country music. Right. And to me, she's one of the greatest.
She's the one you wanted to copy, right?
She's the one I wanted to copy, yes, and I think I did. And one night, some old drunk stumbled up to the stage and said, Loretta, we've already got one Kitty Wells, we don't need another one. So then I tried to start...
Good advice.
Yeah. So I started trying to sing boy songs after that, you know, instead of all Kitty Wells songs.
And Patsy Cline?
Patsy Cline was my best friend.
Did you name...
I named one of my twins after Patsy.
Was named Patsy.
And one after my sister Peggy.
Yeah.
And them twins have got a record coming out. They didn't want
They're
to...
out there making it now.
They're out there doing radio shows right now.
Right.
Their record will be out right away. But they look so much like me. I ain't using Mama for nothing, but when they walk into a place, you know, it looks like 3 Loretta Lynn's, you know. And then they had their names, the Lynn's.
Yeah.
As if that wasn't going to give it away.
Right.
I said, girls, why don't you call yourself the Lynn Twins? That sounds better to me. Nope, we're the Lynn's. You know they're not going to do what their mama says. Mm-hmm. So, but they wrote everything in the album, and they're great writers. They, you know, at 10 years old, Patsy wrote a song, and I found it in the floor when I come home. And I looked at this song, and I thought, who in the world wrote this song? And so I asked the lady that took care of the house. She said, that's Patsy, and I framed it.
Yeah. What was it that made Patsy the legend that she really is?
Well, you know, Patsy Cline was, she had out Walking After Midnight, and I don't think she made anything on that record, she told me. But then when she had I Fall to Pieces, she had this wreck and almost died. But it was a #1 record for her. It was great. Then she come out with Crazy, which I've seen her get 3 standing ovations at the, on the Opry.
At the Opry,
At the Grand Ole Opry. I've never seen nobody do that before or after. And she was, you know, she was 1 year older than me, but it was like she was my mother, my best friend, everything to me. And she gave me clothes to wear.
How old was she when she died?
I think she was 29. So really, the girl took me over to her house on Thursday night to listen at the album that she just recorded. And that was Sweet Dreams and all these other great songs that you've heard that she never did get to hear on the radio. And you know, they never played Patsy very much after she died, and this really bothered me, that she was such a great singer. Every word was perfect that she spoke.
What's happened to the business? Why did it take the direction it did? And
you know, I don't know. Really, I'm getting so tired of seeing videos with cowboy hats and pickup trucks. I've been in enough of them pickup trucks. But, you know, I think...
Yes, you have. You've
Yes.
seen a pickup truck
Yeah,
or two.
I went into Nashville myself looking like Annie Oakley, so I don't know why they're just bringing it back today. They think it's something new.
Yeah.
And I went into Nashville with a hat, boots, fringe skirt, the whole deal. You know, so it ain't nothing new.
Yeah. You've taken care of your money.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you've done well with all the money you've made.
I think we've bought land, and we've got it all
Oh, you
over
own
the
half
place.
of Tennessee.
Anybody would love... Yeah, and we own half of the big island on Hawaii. If anybody'd like to hear about that, call me. I'm going to sell one of the places on the beach.
Did you buy land in Hawaii?
Oh, we bought almost 4 acres on the lake. We bought the last black beach on the Big Island, right?
Is that right?
Yes. Now, we
This
built
is
a home
great.
and never got to spend one night in it. And it took my husband 3 months to go down that volcanic rock with a bulldozer, building a road. And he stayed over there while I come home and worked.
Yeah.
And
Now, when was this?
this was just the year before he got sick. That was about 6 years ago.
And he went out there and got a bulldozer and cleared a path.
Yes, he did. And but we never got to stay one
What
night in that
happened to the house?
The house is still standing there.
Does anybody live in this house?
No.
This is great.
Then I got one on the hill that overlooks it all, you know, but that's the one I like.
When was the last time you were there?
Well, it's been about 10 years. Too long. I'm fixing
But
to
is
go.
anybody living in these houses?
No, there's a guy that is 98 years
caretaker
old,
that's-
and he's the caretaker, and he lives over there just... and
This is great.
Him and his wife lives in a condo right there on the place.
Yeah, right.
But every day he goes over there early in the morning.
Cleans it up in case you
Oh.
come that day.
That's his house,
Yeah.
you know, so
Now,
that's
how many
why-
places do you have like this where you haven't lived in?
Well, we got one in the Bahamas. We have one in Mexico. Hunting lodge in Canada, which I'll never hunt in.
This is great.
Yeah, my husband
Those
said...
records will buy houses, won't they?
I know. But you know what my husband said to me one day? He come into Nashville and picked me up from the bus, and he said, baby, I want to say something. He said, I want to thank you for sticking around. Because he said, you know, everywhere I've been, I've built a home. And he said, sometime we went back and sometime we didn't, you know. And I said, don't worry about it, you know.
The next time I want to go on vacation, I'm calling you saying
me.
I'm coming
Call
to
me and
one of
tell
those
me.
houses.
Call me and I'll give you my number. No, you can stay in my house.
I'm
You
sure
stay
I
in my
could.
house.
I know. The joy of performing, it's still there.
Yes.
You know, notwithstanding the sadness you've had in your life. You've been doing it for a long time.
Yes, and when I walk on stage, it's like I've not been gone, you know.
Yeah.
And my fans are still there. And
You're the queen.
We're working to a sellout crowd every night.
Every night. It's a sellout crowd. They introduce you. How do they introduce you? Miss Loretta Lynn.
Yeah, the first lady that
lady
to ever have a movie made of her life, and won the Entertainer of the Year, which the award too that I got such great pleasure out of was the award of achievement of how much I've achieved. And I thought it was in the wrong place. You're not going to believe this. I got there and I thought it was in the wrong place, and I said to myself, now this is not, I'm not going to get no award tonight. I am in the wrong place, because everybody around me, there was 8 sitting at each table. So nobody was talking, and they acted kind of funny. Yeah. So I punched the guy on the right of me, and I said, I thought maybe he was some kind of musician somewhere in the background. I was just trying to figure out if I was supposed to be there. I said, what did you do? And he said, I split the atom. I thought, Loretta, get down on your hands and knees and crawl out of here. But I finally punched the other guy on my left, and I said, what do you do? And he said, well, my dad was a scientist, and it was Johnson & Johnson. Wow. And, of course, I began asking everybody else. And one of the guys was a doctor that started the skin cells. Right. I just knew then I was in the wrong place. So I told Johnson & Johnson, I said, I'm in the wrong place. He said, just sit right where you are. I don't think you are. And Ed Asner, how you say the last name? Ed Asner, right. Yeah. The actor. Bless his heart, I love him. Yeah. And we've been on lots of talk shows together, but I can't speak names very good. And he said, they did this in alphabetical number. Yeah. And the whole time I was there, I was about to die. And I asked Johnson & Johnson, what's wrong with this guy behind us? He had his glasses way down on his nose, and, you know, he was acting funny. He said he's a mad scientist. I thought, oh, me. So when Ed said, there's a little girl that's out there sweating her bunnies off, and I know it. And he said, I'm going to bring her up here. But it took him 10 minutes to tell what I had done. Yeah. And this was like 15 years ago. But it took him 10 minutes. And I thought, gee, if I've done all that, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go up and get my award. But they had every kid from all over the world that was a genius, as you know, in the other room. And they were watching us on big monitors and listening to what we had to say. Do you listen to anything other than country music? I don't ever listen to country music. You very seldom. Why not? Just... My husband loved to listen to it. When we get in the truck, that radio would come on. I'd say, turn that stuff off. I like to listen to easy listening music. Really? Now, if I've got something that's easy listening to, Now, why is that? I don't know. But I don't listen to You Ain't Woman Enough to Take My Man. What's the favorite of you? What's your favorite? I'd probably I would probably have to say Coal Miner's Daughter, since I wrote it about myself. And there was, 8 more verses to that thing. And when I went in, my producer said, Loretta, there's already been one in El Paso. There'll never be another one. I think it was 7 minutes long. And roll tape. Here it is. Coal Miner's Daughter. Coal Miner's Daughter, Loretta Lynn. It's always great to see you. Well, I hope you sell a zillion of these. Sweetheart. All-time gospel favorites, you'll see it advertised, made by Heartland Music. Heartland Music. God bless them. Thank you. Thank you, honey. Pleasure. We'll be right back. Stay with us.